It's a beautiful morning in the Great Pacific Northwest, and I'm at Kapowsin Lake. It's a little cool and slightly overcast, but nonetheless, the rain is gone for the day anyway. Maybe tomorrow we'll get some more rain, but for now, we're going to take advantage of an awesome day to get out on the water, do a little bit of kayaking, and maybe talk a little bit about the history of Kapowsin Lake and the town of Kapowsin. And we'll see you shortly out on the water. One of the first things that we see when we first launch out from the boat launch is some old stumps. Many of these are still remnants of the logging that was in the area. Logging was the primary industry here in the town of Kapowsin, and when they first started logging in this area, there were still many trees standing in the lake itself. And as a result of the formation of the lake from an eruption from Mount Rainier probably about 500 years ago. So when people first came to log, they had to actually boat out to some of the trees and cut them down from the boats. Pretty interesting. That had to make for a interesting job nonetheless. But there's a lot of stumps, especially right by the boat launch, and there's some further on down. We'll kind of tool out that way and see what we can see. I don't think these are, at least most of these are trees that were felled. Pretty sure this is the remnants of the log flume. Everything's in such a straight line, and the width of it would make sense for some sort of a dock or flume type setup for corralling or penning in the logs as they cut them and brought them over here for further distribution. There was at one time a train that crossed a trestle. Don't think this is it, but the trestle did collapse and the train fell into the lake and is resting at the bottom of the lake. From the folks that I've heard from in reference to that train, chances are pretty likely that while you could probably dive down there, and it's probably not terribly safe with all these logs and different other obstacles that could get you in a lot of trouble down underwater. But still, nonetheless, it's a pretty cool remnant of some history of the lake. All right, I'm at the other end of the flume, and there's remnants of more docks over here, whether they were part of the flume or part of homes that were in the area at the time. Now, some of these homes probably burned to ash. This area was subject to multiple major fires. 3 of them that are counted that were devastating to the town of Kapowsin. Now, the town of Kapowsin is pretty much gone. There's a few homes left, but the bustling, thriving community that it used to be, with its own post office, its own school system, various other governmental agencies, it's gone. There's nothing left of it. It pretty much died after the last fire. And some of the theories behind the fires were potentially because of Tacoma mobs that were trying to profit from the timber industry at the time, and so in order to secure their own interests, the businesses that thrived here in Kapowsin and subsequently the town itself were burned multiple times but that's a theory. There's no real proof to that, but it certainly does lend to a certain mystique to the death of the town of Kapowsin. I don't know if you can really see this, but that little bit of wood, that's actually just a small bit of the stump that's actually sticking out of the lake. There's more of it underneath the level of the water. And I've already come across a couple of them. One of them actually stopped me dead. You can't see them until you're right up on top of them with the murkiness of the lake. I was cruising along pretty good until I hit one. So I'm gonna slow it down a minute and just take it easy. Not trying to ruin my boat. Just for perspective, I haven't quite left that stump yet, but you can see where it's at. Just for a reference, you can see there's all kinds of stumps just standing out of the lake, and those are just the ones that are showing, not even counting the ones that are underneath the surface of the water. So this is a nice, beautiful area, beautiful lake. A lot of fish jumping. If you're into fishing, this would be a good time to come out and do some fishing. But yeah, gonna be careful. Not gonna quite speed through this. Well, except for the noise of traffic, it is quiet and it's nice and still out here. Look at that water. So a little bit of a ripple, but it's almost as clear as glass. It's absolutely gorgeous out here. In about another 2 weeks or so, these trees are going to be in full color. This is really going to be awesome. There's already a little bit of color. This is going to be really nice. Ooh, there's a fish that jumped out there. Don't know if you could see that. Anyway, paddle on. Well, I wasn't expecting this when I came out here. It's a cross memorializing two individuals, Tom and Kenny, who apparently died February 19th, 2005. And the yellow sign underneath there says, "Please remember to wear a life jacket." That's a pretty sobering reminder, I think. I'm wearing one, and I wouldn't come out on the water without it. Not far from where those two drowned, there's a pretty big stump. I'm gonna guess that's, well, not really much of a stump actually, but I'm gonna guess about 4 feet. About 4 feet in diameter. And tangle of roots coming down the lake this direction. Almost look like rib bones sticking up. Maybe it's because I'm hungry. I don't know. We'll see. Alrighty, well, I'm at the south end of the lake. And the way the lake is shaped is kind of boomerang shaped. The boat launch is on the horizontal part of the lake that goes east and west, and I'm at the very southern tip, so it turns south at the west end of the lake and then comes down about this far, and I'm hitting a bunch of underwater stumps, so I'm not going to get too much further, but this looks like it could be either another docking system for the logging, or maybe it could be what's left of the trestle. I'm told that somewhere in this vicinity is where the train fell into the lake. I'll put up a link with more information about the specific dates and situation with the train, but you can see that is definitely man-made there. There's no way that just randomly forms. And then too, in the direction that that's going, if you look over there, ignore someone's trash, but back behind some of those trees you can just make out the current train tracks that are existing, going in about the same direction, heading up that way to the north. Now, I've come all this way from that direction, so you can see where there's a lot of stumps over here. I went through a patch where there wasn't any, but the closer I got down to this end, there was definitely quite a few. So I'm gonna head back the other direction, as I've gone about as far as I can, and we'll see what we can find after that. I don't know what this little guy is, but it must be lunchtime because he came up right out of the water. I don't really have a lot of detail here. I wish I had my other camera to actually get a better shot. Pretty cool. Looks like I found a buoy. Can't quite make out. There's some writing up there. Something rentals. Something Sons Rentals. It looks like somebody's been using it for target practice. It's definitely been shot at a couple of times here. Very interesting. If anyone knows the reason why this thing's sitting out here all by itself out in the lake, let me know. This more modern structure looks like a little picnic area. The fireplace and maintained dock. Looks like there's some electricity out here too. Pretty cool. Not sure who that belongs to, but we got a nice little setup here. Get you a picture of across the lake there. Look over my shoulder there. I'm sure on a nice sunny summer day, this is probably a pretty awesome place to be. And here we are at the Lake Kapowsin Island. There's just this little strip of water between the island on the left and the mainland on the right. And from the pictures I've seen, there was a crosswalk or a dock of some sort that bridged the island from the mainland, and there was a dance hall over here, and that's where the loggers and the townsfolk would have the bulk of their entertainment. I read a story from a interview of an individual who was alive during the time when this dance hall was in operation, and when the Kapowsin school was still standing, that they, for fun, they used to stand up or go sit in the top floor of the school building and see how many people would fall in the lake. Being as it was probably more than 100 years ago, safety wasn't particularly a concern, and the pictures I've seen, the walkway would actually dip into the lake. And I saw a picture of a couple of guys with their dates standing on the walkway, and of course the guys, being guys, made the women stand in the part of the walkway that was in the water. Typical guys, I'm sure some of you ladies would agree. Anyway, interesting how that the picture I saw, none of this was forested. This was all clear, and much of the island itself was clear. And look at what 100 years has done. Nature doesn't take long to bring back to life the things that we take down. It's very interesting. Most of these trees are less than 100 years old. There's probably a few standing that were in existence when some of this was going on, but fascinating nonetheless, I think. Oh, looks like from that picnic table there, looks like someone is still using the island. It's not completely abandoned. Not sure how long that table's been there, but that's interesting. I got through that that real narrow part, and it got dicey for a second. It was not very deep, and you could see to the bottom, and you could see a lot of logs. I was a little concerned there, but made it through okay. Didn't hit anything, so anyway, sun's out. It's nice and warming. I'll paddle along. Another memorial. This one looks pretty recent. The flag isn't even faded. For Tevis, I think is how that's pronounced. Don't know who that is, what the significance is. Anyway, move along now. Alrighty, so we're still paddling past the island, and heading in a westerly direction, I'm sorry, not westerly, easterly direction now, towards where Mount Rainier would be. Can't see anything because of the clouds, obviously, but it's still absolutely magnificent day. The sun's warming things up quite nicely. And it's quiet. It's awesome. Well, that's the eastern end of the lake. And I'm not gonna travel back that way. Not all the way. There's, as you can see, there's a lot of stumps, and the water is clear enough for me to see down a couple of feet, and I'm seeing a lot of stumps under the water. So I'm going to, oh, there's one right there. That could definitely be dangerous. So I'm going to head back, and there's someone's beautiful home over there. Very much a modern affair. So folks do live on the lake, but as you've probably seen, I've taken quite a bit of video here. Not a lot of people out here. After Kapowsin died, and it pretty much was it for people living out here. But anyway, I'm gonna head back. All right, well, it was about 2.5, about 2 3/4 hour out there on the lake altogether. Man, that was beautiful out there. In a couple of places it was really kind of iffy as far as the wood under in the stumps and various obstacles that were right under the surface, and sometimes you almost didn't see them till you got right up on them. So as far as kayaking on a lake like this one, you know, I'm not going to be terribly motivated to come back to Kapowsin Lake, not because it's, you know, there's nothing here, but just it's kind of a you have to be really careful out here when you're kayaking. If you're watching this video and you do any boating, kayaking, whatever, you know, if you stay in certain areas, you're probably going to be okay, especially if you're just doing some fishing. But you know, you're really kind of limited, and you know, I didn't want to push the envelope. My boat is a fiberglass bottom, and you know, probably would do okay, but gosh, I'm not really that interested in trying that, to be honest with you. But overall, man, it's a beautiful lake, beautiful scenery. Maybe sometime next summer I'll come back out when it's nice and clear, and we'll revisit the lake, especially if the water level's a little bit lower, maybe midsummer or something, if it hasn't rained much. Might be a little bit better able to see some of those obstacles. But otherwise, it was really a nice little jaunt. I'm glad we didn't get to 3 hours. You know why? You know why you don't go to 3 hours? Because then you get stuck on Gilligan's Isle. They had a 3-hour tour. Think about it. Anyway, just kidding around. God loves you. I love you. Thank you for watching. God bless you.